being controlled, live for yourself and share your life, or live to others' expectations of you. Which is it? Me, Ivo. So many topics, so little time. Laugh out loud. Actually, Ivo, I have a comment that does fit in with this video. I was on Facebook for an hour this morning, and for some strange reason I'm not seeing any of my usual friends' posts, but I keep getting posts from all these lightworker starseed groups. I put up a comment in one group that the question about veganism is typical of what trolls post to start arguments in groups, and I think the admin deleted my comment. He'll figure it out someday, maybe. My comment about this hour spent on Facebook was that it was not a very positive experience. There are questions that people could answer, but maybe these people don't have any experience with the solution, because there were no responses. The woman was asking why she felt she had been raised to be her own worst enemy, to be nice to people even though they weren't nice to her. I said it's because you have been raised to behave against your own best interests and you need to change that. You're going to go through a lot of guilty feelings when you go against your upbringing, but do it anyway because it's worth it. And I told her that guilty feelings happen when you've been manipulated. The post about veganism started the usual snotty comments about, "Why are you asking this? Don't you even know better?" And then the videos of cows being treated horribly, which I can't watch. When you go to answer someone's question, you need to ask yourself, am I trying to help or am I trying to put this person down and make them feel stupid for even asking? The entire experience of Facebook I find is just plain egotistical behavior by people who purport not to be egotists. I had to do a violet flame meditation to get my vibe back up. Ivo and I are still working on a video script of how the Matrix ego mind has infiltrated the spiritual community. And this is one of the points. Are you trying to help? Or are you trying to put down the person for asking or not knowing or because you think they're stupid? When it comes to ego, you have to be extremely honest with yourself and admit it if you're there to inflate your ego at others' expense. You always have a choice every time you interact with yourself or others. Do I choose ego or do I choose soul? Ivo's been teaching me that it's not bad, good or positive, negative, but whether you accept what is or reject what is. Hopefully you'll accept what is because what is has already happened and that's your reality, the current reality, whether your ego approves of it or not, and deal with the reality. When you're working through your ego, you're not dealing with reality. You're dealing with your ego's need to be in charge. And it can be a tyrant. Anyway, this lady's question was about disempowerment of the divine feminine. And yes, the divine masculine is disempowered in our world, although superficially, in general, it would appear not to be, but it is. And that fits in with this video's subject. Are you going to live in a way that's true to yourself or in a way that fits in with what others want of you? And by others I mean anyone from the government to your parents, to your spouse, to anyone. Or the ubiquitous, nameless, they that is spoken of all the time. Think about it. Can you imagine lying on your deathbed thinking back to the fact that you really wanted to be an artist or to travel the world, but someone told you it was impossible, so you made a lifelong career of being an accountant instead? I would feel awful knowing I lived in the way that others told me would be better for me. And that is control. You have to listen to your heart and lead your own life. I really pissed my mother off when I never got married and had children. My mother needed to learn she had one life to live, her own, and she doesn't get to tell me how to live mine. Was she ever mad? But I held my ground. I'm not going to change my entire life just because she wanted more babies. It's whether I want the babies or not that counts. And I sensed it wasn't in the cards for me. I now know that it wasn't and that I came here with a different plan for myself. I really didn't feel I was up to being a good mother, so I never had kids. But it's an important part of taking your power back and to stop allowing others to control you. To decide how you want to live and not to live by what others say you should do, unless in fact you agree with them. That's different. There are so many people who are dancing to others' tunes. Ivo, my love, your people have got it wrong. They churn out words to ask others who they are. In the case of parents, many parents will tell their children who they want them to be rather than allowing the child to tell the parents who they are. So the child is not used to going within in order to gain self-empowerment. The child is used to having the parents tell them how to behave rather than working with the child on their behavior, which is control, of course. The child is used to having the teacher tell them what life is and to direct their behavior in the school system. The child is used to the television telling them what normal is and how to behave socially. Yes, I remember that program, Elf, about the supposed alien who lived with an American family. Before the time, belching in public was taboo. After all, it was normal for some to just belch out in front of others with no feeling of shame. People get a lot of their programming from television. A lot. Ivo, they do indeed. And it is not always favorable programming, to be sure. You are always looking outside of yourselves to allow others to control you, whether you realize it or not. The controller of your behavior is you, and you must go with them to understand who you are and how you should behave. Not to listen to the ego, which is just another facet of this external control system, obviously. Your people are mind-controlled, and the ego is the afflicted part of your psyches. For those who spend their lives looking to externals to find themselves, this must cease. You must go inside and learn to understand who you really are. You must learn to put up boundaries to disallow any form of external control and manipulation, otherwise you get hooked into your ego again and would become basically helpless to do the right thing for yourself once more. Believe me, those in charge of your planet use many means to do this. Sharon has had people sent to her right at times she was about to renew her spiritual seeking. These people were alcoholic, drug-addicted egos who ascribed to the control system. Her inclination at wanting to find a mate predisposed her to those who put her under the ether again. By causing drama and chaos in her life, which she did not know how to deal with via the soul, she was again pulled back into her shadow. It was always a relief to break up with these men and to resume her life on her own. Perhaps, my love, you might have recognized you were better off on your own at that time, but you did not. You felt it was weird to not want to have a mate, so you kept seeking, and the dark provided you with ones that eventually empowered you, but not after upsetting the apple cart over and over again. Sharon was always relieved to break up with her boyfriends because they had nothing to offer her. They in fact were narcissists and energy vampires who were there to teach her to stand up alone in life. Yes. You see that mating is not always the route for everybody. Some are here to live singularly. Yes, these men taught her, through reflection, where she was lacking, so in that way, by relating to others, she was able to see what she wished to change about herself. Life is a mirror, and you are mirrored back through the people you deal with. However, this is not the same as the control that I am speaking about. When you allow others to control you and submit to their behavior with no thought of, this is wrong. What do I really want for myself? Then you are controlled. Eventually, Sharon was angry enough that she started to understand that she should listen to herself, and she heard that she must stop these relationships because she was attracting the wrong men. She understood that she would never be happy with any men of this type, and eventually, she gave up dating entirely. Me, that's when you came through. Laugh out loud, Ivo. Yes, I had attempted a few times to wake you up to the fact I was here with you, but it was not enough. It required your reading the book about Elizabeth and Aiken to realize that it is possible for Earth women to mate with men from other planets. Me, and that's when you spoke up. Ivo, my love, you knew this subconsciously as well, may I remind you. There was the one time, long before we began to speak, that you in frustration, proclaimed, the only man for me flies a spaceship and comes from another planet. And if you had listened to yourself instead of saying this in sarcasm, you would have been correct. We could have begun speaking at the time as well. Me, that would have been a trip. Ivo, yes, you would not have accepted it. So we led you to the book. Then you accepted it because you understood the possibility was real. In any case, we wish to suggest to the listener that you are reflected back to yourself through the behavior of others. When you say something to a person and they become angry at you, you think, I do not like this, and you say to the other, if you do not speak to me in a calm voice, I will leave. Then again, you must see what they do. You must observe your emotions when you react to the behavior of others and see what you wish to change and what you find to be healthy. When you look to others to tell you who you are, beware. When you acquiesce to the way of the system before you, beware. You are being controlled. Sharon had very strong feelings about things even as simple as holidays, because she realized she was being controlled into buying things to celebrate these holidays when in fact she did not even understand their significance or even care about these holidays. Me, I've always been very reflective. I think about everything. Do I want this? Do I like this? Is this me or not? What do I want? How does this suit me? Is this something I want to continue? Always. I almost do it to a fault. Ivo, better too much than not enough, my love. Me, so, man who flies a spaceship and comes from another planet, we'll wrap this one up unless you have anything else. Ivo, no, I am done for now. Laugh out loud, me, okay, thank you, Ivo. Ivo, my love, One day we will write our love story as well. We've had so many lives together. That would be interesting.